We have what I'm going to do is to essentially review two sources. One is published by the UK government and is titled Developing Critical and Creative Thinking in Science, and it's available at this link below. The second is published by Griffith University in Australia, and its title is Creative and Innovation Toolkit, and it's available at this link. Now, you don't have to access this link right now, I did it for you. What I will do next is summarize what these two reports say, which I think are probably the best two reports that I've come across, that tells you how to teach creativity, to promote creativity and creative thinking in the classroom. But before we start reviewing this, we need to start with the question that motivates this report. And the question is it possible to teach students how to be creative? But the answer is, hardly surprising, yes, otherwise they wouldn't produce these reports. But they say that it's important to develop, and here is where we are going back to the point that I mentioned before, an environment which is fostering creative thought. And here is a nice quote that I think nicely summarizes this report. Talent or gifted creativity can be inherited by some people and learned or developed by others. It is not true to say that people just are creative while others aren't. Rather, that some people find it easier to recognize their creativity and run with it, while others are more hesitant. Recent research shows that the ability to think around creativity can indeed be fostered in the classroom and transferred or applied in different learning contexts. But how do you do this? But essentially, creative thinking is fostered in classrooms that typically focus on inquiry teaching, that encourage questioning, in classrooms that deal with controversies and thereby encouraging discussion, debates among students, in classrooms that bring students into contact with real-world problem solving, that allow them to take risks, make connections, and see relationships, that also allow for quiet reflection and to make the most of unexpected events. Creativity is also fostered in classrooms where students are encouraged to take the lead, and where the teacher helps students develop criteria to make informed judgments and help students valuing different ways, alternative ways of working. But of course, all this is not possible without the teacher. So, because he's the one that needs to do these strategies. What I want to do next is I want to briefly review some of these strategies. There will be 7, I think, or 8. So the first one that they say in this report is good for boosting or teaching creativity is so-called living graphs. What are living graphs? An example is that one. But living graphs are, in living graphs, a line graph is presented together with a set of related statements. So students have to position the statements on the graph and give reason to justify their decisions. They are encouraged to suggest hypotheses and to give reasons for opinions or deduction based on what they think the graph represents. Why this strategy is important? They say it's important because it encourages students to realize how the process of explanation. Why it is important to the mechanism underlying reasoning. And also it encourages students to realize that there might be a variety of answers possible for a given problem, thus, in a sense, boosting their creative thought. A second strategy that you can try to do in the classroom is the so-called role play. So involve your students in sort of role play or simulations of historical events where people have very different views. One example is the Scopes trial in 1925. You might be familiar with this. If you're not, it doesn't matter. You can pick up any other example. Here, so essentially, I'm going to describe it very briefly for you. It was a case, an American legal case in which a high school teacher named John Scopes was accused of violating Tennessee's Butler Act, which had made it unlawful to teach human evolution in any state-funded school. So, as a starter activity, you could just tell your students about the background of the Scopes trial, give them a brief paragraph explaining the key points of this, and then provide them with a number of links with student-friendly information which they can access. And for instance, Wikipedia. It's not a major drama. I use Wikipedia sometimes. So students could read then this information, and you ask them to answer the following basic questions. where and where did the scope trial take place, who was this guy, what was the trial about, who were the main opponents in the trial. This is important because it kind of solidifies knowledge in students. So it kind of give them an understanding, a general understanding of what was going on, which prepare to set the stage for the next stage, which is the main activity, where, for instance, you could ask students to write a brief paragraph about the scope trial, asking them to summarize the key events of the trial and the outcome of the trial, and then pick a couple of students and ask them to read this in the classroom. Finally, a full-blown discussion where you remind students of the key arguments of the trial and ask the following questions. What was the verdict at the end of the trial? What happened to this guy shortly after the trial finished? What happened to the verdict a year later? Do you agree with the verdict? Explain your answer. So this will structure the debate and make students argue one another, and so develop their reasoning, and yes, develop also their critical thinking skills, in a sense, not only creative skills, in assessing how, what are the result of this. So they will develop different positions, they will have different explanation for justifying whether or not what was done was good, and so on. A third strategy might be to use thinking grid, such as this one, where you make students discuss the risks, benefits, and consequences of a particular, say, scientific development, for instance, space exploration, space preparation, because I like it a lot. But anyway, you can put anything really. Another, and this applies to more to smaller kids, it's like a cartoon, concept cartoons, which are, as you can see, cartoon-style drawings that offer a range of viewpoints about the science in everyday situation. Here is an example. So you have the father that says, the faster we go, the more energy the car uses, and you have the kid, one kid is smart, the other saying the car uses fuel, not energy, and the boy says, yes, you're right, the wheels make energy from the fuel. So there are a number of such cartoon concepts, and they're all available from this website here, and you can use and adapt them in various ways. And you can ask your students to devise their own cartoons, for instance, that can simulate creative thinking. So by discussing alternative viewpoints at stake. Another standard procedure is the so-called SWOT analysis, where students discuss the strengths and opportunities, weakness or threats of, for instance, again, a certain scientific development or issue, food irradiation, for instance. Fifth, and it's one of my favorites, is so-called fishbone diagrams. Now, these diagrams were developed by this guy, Professor Kaoru Ishikawa, who is a Japanese guy, and therefore they are often referred as Ishikawa's diagrams. The technique involved in this diagram is, the purpose of this diagram is to essentially help students to identify possible causes of a problem. The diagram is to encourage students to develop an in-depth and objective representation of reality, while discouraging impartial and premature solution, and showing the relevant importance of an interrelationship between the different parts of a problem. How do you do one of these? So the procedure is as follows. Take a piece of paper, draw a long line horizontally across the middle of the page, pointing to the right, and label the arrowhead with the title of the issue to be explained. This is the backbone of the fish. Draw spurs coming off the backbone at about 45 degrees. One for every likely cause of the problem that you or your group of students can think about, and label it at the outer end. Add sub-spurs to represent subsidiary causes, and highlight any causes that appear more than once as it might be significant. Then the group starts considering each spur and sub-spur, taking the simplest spur first, partly for clarity, but also because a good simple explanation might be better than more complex explanations. When you have discussed this, the fishbone is ideally redrawn so that the position along the backbone reflects the relative importance of the different parts of the problem, with the most important at the end. So how does it look? It looks like something like this. You have a fishbone, you have spurs, you have sub-spurs, You have causes, the most important causes are highlighted and placed towards the end, the end of the arrow in order in accordance with their importance. Another technique that you might consider is mind mapping, which is quite common, and is used to represent ideas, information in far-reaching tree diagrams. How do you do this? Again, you take a piece of paper, you start writing concisely the heading for the overall theme in the center of the page, and then for each major topic or subtopic or cluster of material that you or your students can think about, you start a new major branch from the central theme and you label it accordingly. Each subtopic forms a subordinate branch of the appropriate main branch. You can carry on in this way for as long as you like. How does it look? It looks like this, essentially. So you have a core center, you have branches, goes up and sub-branches, and they all link, they map out the problem, highlighting the causes underlying it and their relationships eventually. Finally, the last strategies that you can consider for boosting creative thinking, in a sense also critical thinking in the classroom, is what is called synectic strategies. Now, synectic is the process of juxtaposing mentally or physically the similar concepts, objects, or experiences so that a new understanding is reached and something new is created. This process involves the construction of analogies or metaphors. For example, one thing, you can say a concept, an object, or an experience, it's set against another, a similar thing, and expressed either wholly or partly in terms of that. The process, the synectic process, is useful because it helps students to unlock their creative potential. So how do you do this? For instance, you could ask a student to choose or focus on a particular concept, object, or experience, and visualize the result if they took one or more of its important elements away, added an entirely new element, repeated one or more of its elements, or synthesized the concept, object, or experiences into an entirely new context. So these are the major techniques for, I think, teaching critical thinking, creative thinking in the classroom that I could think about. And yes, we know that today is critical and creative graduates are in high demand. The world is changing rapidly, and graduates must be not only critical and creative, but also adaptable to different situations. And therefore, we as a teacher, we must encourage the development of these crucial skills in our students and engineer some, strategies that can help boosting these capacities, faculties. And yes, I hope that this lecture, this seminar, most seminar, can help you somehow to develop such strategies. So that's it.
Thank you.
One thing, if you